Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Adobe Live. Thank you all so much for joining us today. My name is Cody, and I will be your host for the next hour. Here on Power Prompts, it is our goal to empower you to power through your art block. Every month, we create a theme, and every week, we have a prompt based around that theme. This month's theme is Fe-BREW-ary, and we are drawing everything coffee themed. Today's theme is coffee date, since tomorrow is Valentine's Day. And if you would like to participate, please feel free to post your work on Instagram with hashtag Adobe Live Power Prompts. I hope you all are having a great week so far. Hey Val, Wade, Oliver, hello, Unicorn, hi. Thank you so much for joining us today. How are you guys doing? Did you have a good weekend? Are you doing anything for Valentine's Day? Let me know in the chat, or anti-Valentine's Day, or a Galentine's Day. Anybody do Galentine's Days? Those are fun. Val, this is gonna be rad. Yes, I hope so. All right, well, we can hop on over to Fresco, and I'm gonna show you guys what we're working on today. Garrett says I'm so caffeinated for this stream. Fantastic. Okay, so this is the sketch that we're going to be working off today. I did a little mouse coffee day. For me, I really enjoy drawing these mice characters because it kind of allows you to like kind of play with the scale of the environment, and it kind of like changes things up a little bit. If you guys are familiar with Power Prompts in the past, or if you're familiar with my work, you'll know that I have typically a very simplistic coloring style, but I think I'm actually going to experiment with something new today. I don't typically use the lasso tool to fill in shapes, but I think that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to try to kind of like go for more of like a geometric kind of shape, like more almost like cutout paper kind of, I guess. And then maybe we will fill that in with texture, or maybe I'll keep them flat. I don't know. I guess we'll see. I might fill them in with watercolor. I don't know. It's just experiment day. And so yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun, and we will just kind of figure out our colors as we go. I'm on your stream for the first time. Thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate you being here. I hope you enjoy your time here. And again, like I said, you can find this prompt list, of course, down below underneath me. That's the prompt list right here. And also on my Instagram as well. And if you would like to draw along with me or create your own artwork along with this prompt, feel free to post it to Instagram with hashtag Adobe Live Power Prompts. And if you post it now, we'll be able to show it in the next stream. Oliver says, I almost certainly won't be doing anything for Valentine's Day. We don't really celebrate Valentine's Day ever, so I like the visuals of Valentine's Day, but I don't really celebrate Valentine's Day necessarily. Okay, so I am just going to lower the opacity of my sketch here. I kind of, as you can see, kept it pretty rough. I'm just going to like add in and clean up the details of the sketch as we just do in the coloring process. Sometimes I clean up my sketch beforehand, other times I don't. It kind of depends on the amount of detail that's in my sketch. But I felt like I could probably work with it at this level of you know, like roughness. So yeah, we're just gonna start. No rhyme or reason as to where I'm gonna start. I think I might just start with like the little handkerchief underneath, or the little napkin. Let's see. So I am going to go over, I'm gonna make a new layer first of all. Caroline, welcome. Your style is so cute. Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate you being here. Okay, so I am going to go down into the middle here and grab my lasso tool. Cool thing about the lasso tool in Fresco is you can do like swirly shapes like this, but if you drag and hold, it will actually do a geometric straight line for you as well. So I am going to go ahead and do just that. Hi, Reverb. Hi, Burned. Welcome. Hey, Cethos. Good to see you. Thanks for stopping in. Hope you guys are having a good week so far. I also kind of just like enjoy this hand-drawn look too. So I kind of try to embrace the imperfections of like the wobbliness of my hand as I'm drawing. Although sometimes if I want to have that nice perfect curve or that nice perfect straight line, I do like to use smoothing when I'm drawing as well. So we could go ahead and just like fill this in with a color. Like, let's just go ahead and pixel. We could fill it in with a color, and then we could add the texture on top. Or something that I've seen Kyle Webster do. I'm gonna go to my favorites brush and just kind of noodle around, as Val would say. Let's try like using one of these gouache brushes. Let's make it like really big and just kind of like go really lightly and add in that texture like that. And now I think what I'm going to do, because in our sketch here, if I hide this layer, we have, I had kind of like done like a checker pattern on our little handkerchief here. So what I want to do, I don't really want to put that on top of the same layer because I want to be able to edit it if I want to change the colors or something. So I'm going to make a new layer over top of that. And then I'm going to go down in the middle on the left side to the little drop down arrow. I'm going to press that. And so now that created that top layer into a clipping mask. And so now I can color inside of that shape, but on a separate layer. Hey RB, how are you doing? Val says, we out here noodling. Indeed, always, every day. Hey Barbara, how are you doing? Welcome everyone. Thank you all so much for joining me today. Happy Valentine's Day Eve. Okay, so I don't know if I want to do like, do I want to do like thick checkers like this? Or do I want to keep it just as like stripes? That's the question right there. That's the $1 million question. I'm kind of liking this like painterly look we got going on here. It's always good to experiment with your coloring style, you guys. If you feel like your artwork's in a rut or anything like that, don't feel like you have to continue with what you've always done, you know? Like there are so many different styles of brushes out there and so many different coloring techniques. It's sometimes for me, all I have to do is just like open up Kyle Webster's like lists of brushes, and sometimes I'll just start experimenting with different brushes and seeing what works for me and seeing if I like any of them for my artwork and I want to try to incorporate them into my style. Okay, so let's deselect that, and now we have our little handkerchief there. Cool. The stream deserves more viewers. Oh, thank you so much. That's so sweet. I'm glad you're enjoying your time here. Okay, so that looks pretty cute, right? Okay, we got something going on there. Okay, so let's go ahead and make a new layer again. I'm gonna lower the opacity of our little handkerchief just so I can see my sketch underneath. And now I am going to, let's see, I have this like reddish color in my palette, but I want to go a little bit brighter because it's Valentine's Day. So I'm gonna push this hue over to the red a little bit. I'm gonna shift it. As you guys can see, I like to use the HSB sliders more so than the color wheel. I personally just find a little bit more control in these sliders rather than like trying to pick a color in the color wheel. I like to be able to edit the brightness and saturation and hue separately. So it really helped me a lot finding these sliders back when I was first starting to do digital work. Okay, so that might be a little bit too saturated. I'm gonna desaturate that and maybe lighten it a little bit. And of course, again, because we have layers, we can edit the color later if we don't like it. Okay. Reverb says throwing the noodles to the wall and seeing what sticks. That is exactly what we're doing today. Experimenting and noodling around. Exactly. Okay. So let's grab that. I'm really liking that gouache brush. By the way, if you guys are curious, this gouache brush is Gouache Perfecto, and it's from Kyle Webster's paint box. I believe that one, the paint box, is actually in his mega pack, but he also has a separate gouache pack as well. So let's see here. So I'm going to make my brush a little bit smaller. And actually, I think I'm going to use this time really quick. I'm going to try to go to, let's see, how do I color dynamics? I think that's what we want. I want to edit the color dynamics. So hue jitter, saturation jitter. I think that's what I want. So whenever yeah, I love that. So whenever I press down on my brush with a new paint stroke, it actually edits the saturation of the hue that I'm using, so it looks a little bit more like paint, right? And you can also do other types of shape dynamics. You can also do hue jitter, so it kind of like edits the hue a little bit as well, if you wanted it to kind of go back and forth and give a little bit of variation there. I think we're going to keep the hue the same, but let's do a little bit of brightness jitter and a little bit of saturation jitter. And then also you want to, if you want it to be per stroke, you want to make sure to uncheck apply per tip if that's checked. So that way each like brush stroke is a new color. Okay, let's undo all of that mess. Okay, I'm gonna make my brush a little bit smaller, and we are just gonna throw some color, and I'm gonna intentionally lift up my brush multiple times here while I'm painting this rose petal to kind of like add that gouache like painterly look to it. And look at that, it's so easy. Like you don't even have to work for it, and it gives you that really nice painterly look with hardly any work at all. Color dynamics is something that I forget exists, and I like need to find the self-discipline to use it more often, because I want to have that painterly look in my work sometimes, and I just totally forget that it exists, and it's so easy to use. Like it's such a great tool if you're looking to add like color variation to your strokes. RB says I'm using a chisel and a hammer. Hey, that's impressive too. You chisel in marble? I'm impressed. Val says I just recently started messing with fresco brushes a lot more. Val, honestly, you should watch Kyle Webster's Let's Go Fresco. He's not doing that show actively anymore, but if you guys go on our Adobe Live YouTube channel, you can check out his past episodes of Let's Go Fresco. He has so many fresco tips. I was the one that modded that segment typically, so I watched it like every week, and I was like blown away by how many tool tips that he gave. So many things that I had no idea about fresco. I'm pretty sure he actually taught me this about the color dynamics. Kyle is a wizard, so go check out his stream. Also, as a matter of fact, since we turned on the color dynamics, I'm going to go back to the handkerchief layer, and I am going to go tap on it and go down to lock transparency. I'm going to color drop that color again, but I am going to put some strokes over top of it, just to add in that color dynamic look now that we turn that on. Cool. And let's turn our sketch off to just check what we got. I think I might desaturate this layer just slightly. Let's see here. Let's go to, I'm gonna go and make an adjustment layer. So I'm highlighted on our rose petal layer, and I'm going to go down to these like intersecting circles here, and I am going to do hue and saturation, and I'm going to clip it to that layer. And so now I can just go ahead and slide that saturation down just a tad. I might lighten it a little bit too. Maybe saturate a little bit more. Don't want it to look too gray or anything, but maybe it just needed to be lightened a little bit. something like that. Think I'm liking that. No problem. Apologies. Can't stay to finish this. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate you being here, and I hope you have a lovely day. Could totally go for a Fresca. That's different. Drinking a Fresca while using Fresco. Okay. Moving right along. Let's go ahead. I'm gonna actually color grab some of these colors that I've used on this artwork already. I'm going to grab, first of all, let's see, this green here, and I'm going to use that for the roses in the background. It's a great tip if you're looking to try to have a simplistic color palette or a more limited palette. Suggestion that I typically really like to do is grabbing the colors that I've already used and using them for other things. So like I could very well, you know, grab a new green for the rose stems and the rose leaves. But because I'm trying to keep my palette limited, I'm going to grab the green that I used already instead, even though typically in real life, like rose leaves and stems are kind of like a dark green. That's okay because this is a fun, whimsical illustration. So it'll still read properly. And it'll also look really cohesive once the whole piece is done. So I'm going to go ahead and make a new layer. And we're still on our gouache brush here. So I am just going to make our little rose stems here, like that. Here's our little rose leaves. Again, adding in those extra intentional strokes to kind of give it that painterly look. Cool, cool, cool. Looks good. Okay, so again, I am going to grab, I'm gonna tap my finger on the screen and hold it, and that brings up the eyedropper tool. And I'm going to grab one of these pink colors that we used. I'm gonna make a new layer. And I'm going to use that. I'm going to make my brush a little bit smaller just so we can get those corners nice and crisp. There we go. Lifting my brush a couple of times. Getting those cute Valentine's Day rose buds. Hi, Fabiola. How are you doing? Welcome. Hey, Annika. Welcome. How are you doing? Okay, so let's make another new layer just so we can keep those roses on separate layers just in case I want to edit them. It's always good to make a new layer. Sometimes I get lazy, you guys. Sometimes I'm like, I don't need a new layer. I'm just going to do all of this on the same layer and it's going to be fine. It's never fine. So just make a new layer. It's fine. It's okay. Just make a new layer. You won't regret it, but you might regret not making a new layer. So yeah, let's just go. I have the initial sketch kind of overlapping this leaf here to give it a little bit of dimension, even though we're working with really flat shapes. Cool. Okay, let's bring that other rose up there. I might actually, you know what, you guys? I might, just for funsies, let's grabbing, wow, English. Let's try grabbing, I think this like lighter like less saturated pink. And I think I might try to incorporate some of those like other hues into our little handkerchief here. So I'm gonna make my brush really big. This is just an experiment. Actually, I'm gonna make a new layer as a clipping mask. And I'm just going to like throw some of that red. The red might not work because it might accidentally end up looking like blood, which we don't want. But we can try experimenting with a different color. But I can turn down the opacity. It kind of just looks like dirt. So I'm gonna do that again, but with a different color. I think I'm gonna try it with a blue tone, or yeah, gray. So I'm gonna actually lock transparency on this layer. There we go. That looks better. Okay, let's raise the opacity back up. Yeah, okay. So unlock that transparency. And we are just going to kind of throw in some of these colors a little bit. And I can also use this kind of bluish tone elsewhere in the artwork as well. Just to kind of like incorporate those other tones in places, like kind of unexpected places almost. Toby's asking, how long did it take you to learn all the different techniques and where everything is? Actually, well, this technique right now is actually my first time doing this specific coloring technique. I've never really dabbled in like using color dynamics and stuff like that. I typically actually draw with a flat crayon brush, and I don't usually add any shading to my work. So right now it's just having fun and experimenting. But in terms of the fresco tools, I'd say it probably took me a good few months to really feel comfortable with fresco. But now I love it. For the past 10 years that I've been doing digital artwork, I've actually been working solely in Photoshop, and then Fresco came along and I really wanted it to work. I wanted to like it. And now, funny enough, it's actually my main program compared to Photoshop. I barely ever use Photoshop anymore. I love Fresco so much because I can just paint on the couch on my iPad. But as I said, in terms of your question, I've been doing digital art for 10 years. So it's taken me a long time to get to where I am with my work. Okay, so yeah, so let's see here. Looks pretty good. I'm gonna actually, a perfect example of using this blue color would actually be with our little vase in the background. That would be a great spot to use this blue. I'm gonna, it kind of actually looks a little periwinkle, funny enough, with these, with the relative color compared to the rest of our palette. I'm actually just gonna throw this color in, and I'm probably going to lower the opacity just so it looks transparent. And I'm also going to bring it above our rose stems, because the rose stems, are behind that layer of glass. So really they would be behind it. So I'm going to lower the opacity there just a tad. And let's go ahead and turn off our sketch just so we can see what we're working with. Yeah, that looks cute. I like that. It's nice. Okay. Save our work. Cool. Let's see. I actually, funny enough, I started this, this is the funny part, great part about experimenting. I started this stream out by saying, I think I'm going to use the lasso tool more and try to do a more geometric look. We totally went off into a completely different direction, not what I was planning at all, but I actually really like the outcome of what we're doing here. So I actually ended up subconsciously just kind of painting in with this gouache brush, and I actually personally really like the texture. And I think that this is actually something that I might be doing in my work more often. So yeah, guys, don't be afraid to experiment. And even if something doesn't go to plan, you know, that's okay, because sometimes you might accidentally find new techniques too. Are these watercolor brushes? I haven't seen you use those in a while. These are actually not watercolor brushes. This is a gouache brush. This one, and yes, I know I haven't used the watercolor brushes in a while either. But this one is called Gouache Perfecto, and it's from Kyle's Paint Box. Here, I'll just go on another layer and go like that. It has a really nice texture, and we also have, if you guys are just tuning in, we have color dynamics on, and we have a little bit of a saturation jitter and a brightness jitter on. So it's with every stroke, the hue and the brightness kind of changes a little bit, and it kind of adds that painterly look to your work without with minimal effort. It's super easy. Okay, back to what we were working on. Yeah, Gouache Perfecto. There's a couple of gouache brushes that are on my favorites list. I also like Gouache Supreme Opaque. That one is kind of a little bit more of a dry brush. So like if you wanted to do like this wet, that like use Perfecto for like the wet look, you could also come back and kind of like add in kind of like a dry brush texture over top of that to kind of give it a little bit more interest. Again, that one was called Gouache Supreme Opaque. And then I also have this one, which is even more of a dry brush. It kind of almost, if you use it like as a really big brush, it kind of basically just like adds noise. So if you wanted to add noise to your work, like let's say I wanted to make a new clipping mask layer over top of our handkerchief, I could paint this in over top of everything, and I could go into blending mode, and I could do like multiply, or like, let's see, what does this look good? Like maybe screen, no, not screen, something. Or maybe even just normal. And I could even just lower the opacity too. And it kind of gives, probably actually bring this over top of the lines too. And it kind of just gives a little bit of like a noise look to it. So it looks a little bit less perfect. Okay. So let's see. I think I might actually, just to kind of like, since we're about halfway through the stream, I think I kind of want to like add a little bit of detail, and I might actually go back to our Conte crayon, because that's the crayon brush that I typically use in my streams. Just because that's actually a very typical combination that a lot of artists will do if they're using gouache as their base. They'll come back over it with like a pastel crayon or a colored pencil even. So that's a really great combo if you're looking to like add detail lines. So I am actually going to just make a layer over top of everything. And let's see, I'm going to start with the roses. I'm going to turn down the opacity of the roses just so I can see the sketch underneath. And I'm going to go back to our top layer here. And I'm going to grab one of these colors, and I'm going to darken it and saturate it a little bit more probably. And I can go back to my favorites. And let's see, where is it? Here it is, Conte crayon. This is my trusty favorite crayon brush. This can be found in Kyle Webster's Mega Pack. And also, I don't think I mentioned, if you would like to download Kyle's brushes, you can for free if you have a CC subscription. Just open up the brush menu and then go to all and then add brushes and then discover new brushes, and you can download any of his packs. Like, look at all of these packs. There's literally thousands of Kyle's brushes. And that's why I said before, like if you feel like you can't find a texture that works for you, just keep looking through those brushes, because there are so many different styles out there. Yes, Annika likes to call it the Codi crayon instead of Conte crayon. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm just going to throw in some line details here. I'm going to turn on smoothing just a little bit. I don't want it on too much just because of my personal preference with my artwork. I like to try to keep it looking as traditional as possible. So I'm going to just kind of, I'm actually going to turn it down a little bit. I'm going to lean into the mistakes and just like the imperfections. That's the word I was looking for. Imperfections of hand-drawn work. And because I personally think it kind of like adds a little bit of character too. I try to use undo as little as possible, although sometimes it's hard to not fall into that it's hard to not fall into that when you are a digital artist and it's just like a tap, you know. But I think that, like I said, sometimes those imperfections can actually add more to your work than having it quote unquote perfect sometimes. Hey, Katarina. So many brushes, so much power. I know, right? Exactly. Okay, so I'm going to, again, I'm going to grab one of these green colors and I'm going to darken it and saturate it. And we're going to go here. And just throw in some of those shapes. And for the vase, I'm actually going to keep it at a lower opacity, and I'm actually going to lighten this color. So there's contrast since we're working with the texture of glass for the vase, the edges of glass, I know glass is obviously transparent, but the edges of glass are typically lighter than the inner part of the glass. So that is why that's kind of like my thought process there, why I decided to lighten the line detail rather than darken it. So we're going to go back up to my line work layer there. There, you saw me. You saw me undoing like 5 times there. I didn't even notice I was doing that. There we go. Add some cute little line details there. Okay. Let's see. Let's go ahead. Actually, yeah. I'm going to go here and I'm actually going to go whoops. I want to blend mode clear. I actually want to just erase the vase just against the rose stems here. Oops. There we go. Okay. Now it looks like the rose stems are actually in the vase. Okay. Let's up the opacity. Here we go. Here we go. And of course, since everything is on a separate layer, I can feel free, like if I feel like there isn't enough contrast between these colors, I can always go back and lock the transparency. And we can just darken, saturate, and then paint. Whoops, I'm on clear still. And then paint right over that. And so we can have a little bit of darkness. Okay. There, cool. I like that. Looks good. Erase the vase, indeed. That sounds like a game show. Okay, so working with the colors that we have, again, we're kind of like figuring out our color palette as we go here. But I'm not sure what color I want to do for we have a little like vintage radio here. Let's see, we don't want to do it green because that's like it's touching the handkerchief, which is green, and then we don't want to do it blue because behind it is the blue vase. So we might need to incorporate a new color, or we could do it red, which I might, because it's kind of like a focal point in the scene here. I might go ahead and do that. And again, because it's digital art, we can always just go back and change the color if we want to. So I am going to just grab, gonna go back to our Gouache Perfecto. Val, this week on Erase the Vase. Yeah, exactly. Okay. I'm gonna take away that layer just real quick so we can see underneath. There we go. That gouache brush is just, it's just so smooth, you guys. Like, I just love how smooth it is. It feels like it's just gliding on the page. Just gonna add our little painterly strokes here. And I realized that my sketch is not very, like, the sketch of the radio is a little bit lopsided, so I'm gonna try to fix that as we're going here. You read it exactly how I wrote it. I know what you're saying, Val. I know. Okay. Here we go. Look at how cute. Look at that. Just look at it. Okay. And if, again, it feels like it's a little bit lopsided, I'm actually going to flip my canvas. To flip your canvas, all you have to do is go up to the gear icon and then flip horizontally, and you can kind of see, kind of double check on how your work looks. I think I might actually just kind of paint through a little bit here just so we can kind of check our shape as a whole. And I think what needs to happen is this line just needs to come up a little bit. And this needs to come down. Cool. And I can also pull out this ruler here and snap it horizontally just to kind of check if the bottom of my radio is relatively straight, and it's relatively straight. So I am just going to go ahead and leave it the way that it is. And I am going to flip it back. Let's see. I don't really particularly, you know what? I was about to erase a line, you guys, but I am just gonna leave it. Again, I'm going to take my own advice and just accept the imperfections. I'm actually kind of like much more liking the colors on the radio. The radio is a little bit more saturated than, I'm actually just gonna delete that adjustment layer. The radios ended up being a little bit more saturated than everything else, so I'm actually kind of liking that now that we have a little bit more of it in the artwork. So I am just going to kind of repaint just a smidge here with this new color combo we got. I'm gonna do the roses once more. Hey, Rob, I'm so very late to this week's installment. Well, thank you. It's totally fine. Thank you so much for stopping in. I really appreciate you being here. I'm so happy to see you in chat. I hope you're having a great week. Let's see. I think I'm actually just going to lighten this up just a smidge, just so I can get this corner here. I'm going to desaturate it, just lighten it up, just so we can add a little bit of contrast right there, just so we can see that corner of that front rose right there, like that. Cool. Okay. Don't forget to save your work as well. I know everything saves on the cloud with Fresco, but personally, I always like to do a hard save just in case. So all you have to do is go on top of your document and where the title is, and then press save now. There we go. Cool. Okay. Looking pretty good so far. Yeah. Oh, and I also have this little handkerchief too. Okay, cool. There we go. Okay, next on the list. Let's go ahead. I think I want to add maybe like a goldenrod color. Again, I think we will see how it all incorporates, but I'm thinking about adding in a yellow. Experiment. Who knows? We will see if this works or not. Red and yellow might look a little bit too McDonald's. Don't know yet. I guess we'll see. Gonna lower the opacity of this, and we are going to paint in the little speaker. I don't know why my voice cracked when I said that, but it's cool. Hey Jack, how are you doing? Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping in. I'm gonna make my brush a little bit smaller again so we can grab these, make these nice crisp corners here. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about the yellow, but let's pull up the opacity here. Okay. I think I might like the yellow. I don't know. What do you guys think about the yellow? Do you like, are you team yellow or team different color? Let me know in the chat. Otherwise, before I see all of your guys' answers, I am going to continue to work. Let's see. I might actually, I don't know what color I'm gonna do for the mug. That's a very good question, actually, because, let's see. Let's actually bring my sketch up just above everything so we can see. There we go. Okay, that's much better. Team yellow, team yellow. Okay, okay. Team yellow. Okay, we're liking the yellow. Gotcha. Cool. Okay. I wonder if I could grab like this pink that I put on the rose and do that as the mug color. That way it's kind of like a lighter color against these more like darker colors, and there might be some nice contrast there. And then maybe I could incorporate the yellow into the mug somehow too. Or I can incorporate the yellow into this little dashing fellow's outfit. Like maybe he could have yellow pants or something. Okay. How we gonna do this? I'm gonna grab this pink color here. As light of a color as I can get from this palette. Here we go. Okay. And I'm going to I'm gonna lower the opacity of my sketch a bit more, and I'm gonna pull it down. There we go. Yeah. I personally don't really ever like drawing with the sketch on top of everything. I typically draw over top of my sketch just so I can see exactly how my shapes are going to be, because usually if I try to draw underneath my sketch, then like the lines end up being really wonky, and my shapes, because my style is so simplistic, the shapes are really important. It kind of like helps tell the story. So I typically try to draw on top of my sketch. As you can see, I lower the opacity a lot of the time just so I can see it. underneath, but it's usually underneath everything. So yeah, I'm gonna take this pink color. And since let's see, the mug is gonna be over top of all of that, so I am going to paint with this. This is gonna need to be a lot brighter. Let's do like a little baby pink mug. Do any of you have a favorite mug in your cupboard that you use like every morning or something? And if so, what does it look like? I have a handful of favorite mugs. One that I've been using a lot lately. Well, I've had it for a long time, but it's orange and it's got a little bear on the handle, and it's from California Adventure at Disneyland. One of my favorites. It's kind of pulling a little purple actually, which is not necessarily what I want. I guess that's okay though, because there are some purples in this illustration, so that's probably fine. Okay. Yeah, let's pull this back up. Okay. Let's go ahead and check our values, you guys, just so I can see, because sometimes for me, because I've been doing artwork for a while, I can kind of get the idea of if my colors have enough contrast, but I always, for every single piece, I always I don't like to trust my eyes. I like to be able to for sure see what everything looks like in black and white. So I'm going to turn off my sketch here. And I am going to make a new layer over top of everything. And I am going to grab my paint bucket tool, and I am going to go to black, and I'm going to fill it with black. And then I'm going to go over to my blend modes, and I am going to go down to color. So now we can see all of our contrasting colors in black and white. And as you can see, we have some nice contrast with the corner of that mug and the radio, so that's really nice. So we don't really need to make any changes there. We have some nice contrast between the vase and the radio as well, and as well as the speaker on the radio. You can tell the difference between all of these shapes in black and white without having any line work. So that's a great thing. That's great to see in black and white, because that means that your values are correct. Now, right here, we have a little bit of an issue because the vase is similar in value to our rose stems. So it's kind of like blending in a little bit. And if we turn this layer back off, actually, you can see how it's kind of like, it kind of makes your eyes vibrate a little bit. I might just go ahead and fix that just for the sake of the stream. I think just an easy fix would to just be to come in here and kind of give a little bit more space between the vase and the stems, just so a background color will show through, and that kind of gives a little bit of a faux outline almost. There we go. Now they kind of pop against the vase when you zoom out. They kind of pop. It almost looks like there's white reflected light coming off of the rose stems. Cool. Okay. This is a much different piece of artwork that I've done in a long time, you guys. I'm really enjoying this, and my color palette's so different too. It's fun, like that painterly look is like really changing up my palette. It's kind of like forcing me out of my comfort zone. Okay, so let's see. We got just like 10 minutes left-ish. So I'm going to continue to work on this. Let's see. Let's pull my sketch back up here. Let's see. I do need to add brown to the palette because obviously coffee is brown. So let's go ahead and make a new layer. And I am going to lower the opacity of our mug here. And let's see, let's pick brown color from my palette we got going on here. What's a nice Let's see. We have mostly kind of like grays and cool tones in this palette, so I don't know if this brown is gonna look nice. Oh, we're still in clear mode. Let's go back to normal. Yeah, this brown, I don't know, it kind of clashes a little bit. Let's take this brown color and maybe kind of pull it a little bit towards red, just because there's some red in this palette. So then it's kind of more of like, has like more of a red undertone. Annika says, I'm officially eating coffee ice cream now. Ooh, yum. Yum, yum, yum. Okay, let's lower the opacity a little bit more. And let's make my brush a little bit smaller. And also let's lower the opacity of the radio so I can see through that. They're drinking their coffee black, I guess. Because I can't draw latte art, so I'm not even going to try. Let's be honest. Let's see. Oh, Val says that she did a coffee day artwork. Val, you should post it in the chat so we can see it, because I actually don't have my capture set up right now, but I would like everyone to be able to see your work. So post the link in chat. Okay, let's go ahead and pull this back up. Let's pull all of our layers back up here. It's looking cute. It's looking cute. Okay, yeah. So I'm feeling that adding that little bit of a red hue shift, and that's exactly why I really love the HSB sliders, because I just needed that little bit of a tint change to make it feel a little bit more cohesive with the color palette that we're working with. Cool. Okay. I'm liking this. Let's turn off the sketch again. It's looking cute. It's looking cute. Okay. Oh, I want to open this so I can see it. Oh my gosh. Val, I wish I could show everyone, but links in chat, you guys. That is so adorable. Val did little frogs in a cup. So cute. I love it. Okay. Okay, so I want to make the saucer a little bit darker. We just have like a few minutes left, so I'm going to do this last thing. So I'm going to make this a little bit saturated. I'm going to make it darker because we want to have a little that contrast against that green handkerchief, right? So let's go ahead and turn our sketch back on. And let's make a new layer. And let's grab this. Here we go. It's looking good. Now we have a little bit more contrast. Oh, actually, my saucer needs to go underneath my rose petal layer. There we go. Okay. Very romantic. Indeed. Indeed it is. So cute. Okay. Looking real cute. Look at that, you guys. And then I think that I would probably, I know I didn't draw the handle because I was considering drawing the handle of the mug as yellow, but maybe I won't. Maybe I'll go back and let's see. I won't go back because we're about out of time. But I'm having so much fun with this piece, you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate it. And Val, thank you so much for doing artwork. That is so adorable. Thank you so much for participating. And again, you guys, if you would like to participate in these prompts, feel free to do so. You can find the list down below me, of course, on the screen, or you can go to my Instagram at instagram.com/Codi Bear. And you can upload your work to Instagram with hashtag Adobe Live Power Prompts. Let me turn on my sketch so you guys can see it a little bit one last time. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. We're doing it. We're doing it. Whoop. There we go. Okay. I will definitely finish this offline, but it was so fun hanging out with you once again. Thank you, Val, Umkorn, Annika, Rob, Oliver, all of you, Oliver and all of you. And I will see you guys in 2 weeks for the last episode of Fe-BREW-ary. But stick around for Shauna up next. We're heading over to twitch.tv/Adobe to hang out with Shauna. She's going to be doing some illustration as well. So thank you all and head over to Twitch. See you guys later. Bye.